What's up, guys? It's WMMA here with detailed predictions and breakdowns for UFC Fight Night, Des Moines, Iowa, Sandhagen vs. Figgy. Let's get right into it because we're starting off with some certified fights that should be on the Apex, but we've gladly accepted them in Des Moines, Iowa. So we'll get started with Juliana Miller. Her Tapology record says 3-3. Here it's 4-3. I don't know if that has to do with that whole. You remember how Bryce Mitchell had a extra loss in his record on the UFC page just because the Ultimate Fighter, even though those are exhibitions, maybe they're throwing her a free win because 3-3 looks atrocious. But you look at her record. Her only win is the absolute legend, Brogan Walker, who's 0-2 in the UFC. Her only wins are against Luana Santos, who's 8-2, which is not bad, but one of those losses on Luana Santos, and I know this is MMA algebra, but Luana Santos has lost to Casey O'Neill. And she knows how hard it is to be an MMA fighter. I mean, the most annoying voice in the UFC. Get that out of my ears, right? And she also lost to Veronica Hardy, which has had some mixed results here and there now, right? So she's 3-3. I mean, some crazy experience. So at least we can bank on that. And at least Ivana, right? She lost to Luana Carolina, who was the spinning. I mean, Luana Carolina is 6-3 in the UFC, and that's even hit or miss at having an embarrassing loss to Molly McCann. Spinning elbow, you could maybe say, oh, the bright lights got to her in London, the meatball steamrolled her, right? But 6-3 is still somewhat impressive, even though we're talking about WMA, right? And she has a win against Lupe Godinez. As much as you might want to say, hey, bro, that's an inexperienced Lupe, or whatever. I mean, better than nothing, right? And she has a loss to the GOAT, Jamie Lynn Horth, the greatest Canadian fighter of all time. So can't put that against her. So I'm gonna pick Ivana having, a 7-2 record versus someone who has a 3-3 record. I'm never, even if Juliana Miller beats Henry Cejudo in her next fight, I'm not picking her. That's an atrocious record to look at. No, zero chance. Ivana's winning it by 29-28. Shocker, right? But moving on to another goated Apex fight. Don'Tale Mayes, who's the underdog? No, everyone's counting him out. But let's do a little math here. One of these fellas has fought a rough 3 rounds of Shamil Gaziev. The other one is coming off a KO loss in the second round. Don't think I'm not gonna trust Don'Tale Mayes. And sure, this motherfucker is getting flattened into a beanbag chair with heel hook after heel hook. But his 2 heel hook losses are to Cyril Gahn and Walter Walker, who, guys, they have more than one visible ab showing. Shocker, a second one. I know, but that's sadly impressive in the current state of the heavyweight division. And Don'Tale Mayes is also, the thing is, he once in a while has a good, like the Andrei Arlovski win. Sure, Andrei Arlovski's freaking in a retirement home by now, but he still looked decent. It's just the consistency with this guy, right? Like, he'll be fighting nice on the outside with a nice hook. And maybe it's that he doesn't understand how to fight grapplers, but if you give him a nice little rangy boxing fight, he can perform in it. And maybe that is so. And maybe Thomas Petersen, I might be switching my pick now, because maybe Thomas Petersen just steamrolls him with his big belly, right? Because, dude, Thomas Petersen did beat Prime Chandler Cole. Have you seen that fat, big, blobby ball throw a spinning wheel kick, by the way? Funniest shit I've ever seen. And also, I do have to say the only AI-generated loss or AI-generated win Thomas Petersen had on his career is Muhammad Usman. The rest are straight nobodies. At least Don'Tale Mayes is, losing to Jamal Pogues? I couldn't tell you who he's losing to. I don't remember, but other than Shamil Gaziev and the other 2 athletic people, this is a battle of the fat turds, and pick whoever you want. I just think Thomas Petersen may be out of his prime now. I'm picking Don'Tale Mayes. I think the rangy striking might work sooner than the sloppy double leg. Just me, though. I don't know. And I just went on about records, but I'm picking the complete opposite guy and being a hypocrite. Sue me. Don'Tale Mayes by KO, round 2. Oh, moving on, by the way. Talking about being a hypocrite, I was just complaining about Quang Lee for some reason in my last video. And spoilers, I'm going to pick him, but I think I have a good reason. Listen, okay. Gaston Bolaños only lost in the UFC Marcus McGee which is not something to rag on, right? Marcus McGee is now ranked, even though he did beat a frozen Martinez in his last fight. But Gaston Bolaños' only wins are this. Aaron Phillips, who's 0-4 in the UFC, and his first fight in the UFC was 2014. Yikes, right? Not the craziest win. And then the other one, Cortavius Romanius. I feel like I fucked up his name, but you know who I'm talking about, right? The little athletic meatball, who, by the way, I warned was going to lose his last fight. And of course, he was fighting the friggin' Korean Marab, the Korean Habib, or whatever. But still, Cortavius Romanius is super athletic, but he just has that basic skill thought. And the thing with that is, it works. Sure, if you're any bit athletic in the heavyweight division, you're the champ, right? But you can't do that at bantamweight, flyweight, those divisions. The entry skill to be anywhere near the UFC. Well, I say that sometimes no, but still, you get what I'm saying. Like, these guys are so much higher level, so I don't think that's good of a win. Now you look at Quang, who I was just flaming, but look at his last 2 losses, right? He's 0-2 in the UFC. First fight, Christian Rodriguez, who just fought last week and won, and he made it close. But my problem with that is, I hate him so much. He makes every single fight close, and people, he looked good against. He looked good. No, dude, everyone looks good against him. But the other fight, he lost to Long Zhao. It was an absolute war in UFC Macau. He got KO'd in the 3rd round, though, right? And he shouldn't have been going to war with Long Zhao. But the thing is, I didn't think Long Zhao was that good going to that fight. But with my big old hindsight goggles, Long Zhao went to a split decision with that same Korean Marab, Korean Habib guy on road to UFC. And he's had a lot of good wins over and over and over again. A lot of experience. Quang Lee was 8-1 fighting a guy who was, I think, 29-7, 29-8. That's a crazy experience, Steph. To be getting into a war with, by the way, going to the 3rd round, the worst thing you could be doing with a guy with that tenure, right? So, all that said, he did take a lot of damage in that fight, right? A lot of damage early in the career, too. So, but a lot of damage. I'm sure someone else can check him, but I don't think Gaston Bolaños is going to. Also, shout out to 2% of my viewers being from Vietnam. I'm picking Quang Lee, man. Stand behind Southeast Asia, Philippines, Vietnam, Burma for my man Joshua Van, and by the way, Philippines for Hydro Meal. Shout out Hydro Meal. Every video he's getting a shout out. But Quang Lee gonna get it done. I think round 2 submission. Trust it. Feel the process. He got is it Christian Rodriguez? No, it's not Christian Rodriguez. Dude, I'm gonna put in the picture who I'm talking about. Dude, he's so boring. I'm forgetting his damn name. But he got his back in the 2nd round in that fight. And I think he's gonna do the same thing. Gaston Bolaños doesn't have the iron submission defense. No one can submit him. No, Quang Lee will. Mark my words. But moving on. Moving on to a... Honestly, I kind of feel bad that this fight's so early on. I think it's I actually am somewhat invested in both of their careers, right? Marina Rodriguez, 1-4 in her last 5 fights. But that does not tell the story of those last 5 fights, right? 3 of those losses... Out of 3 of those losses, 2 of them were split decisions, and 1 was that horrible, horrible stoppage, right? Where it was just a flurry of hooks, and the ref freaked out and stopped it. On the other side, though, we have Gillian Robertson, 5-1 out of her last 6. Throw in a couple of grappling matches in there, too. I think she beat Rose Namajunas, but her wins, she has progressively the first few were so dominant, great ground and pound finishes or submissions or crazy control against Michelle Waterson. But the further and further, the closer and closer, the more recent those fights are to now, the less and less she's in control of those fights. There are moments where it's like, this fight's kind of slipping away. This is kind of a close, she's won, but it's 29-28 that if the other girl, threw a single significant strike, maybe she'd steal it, right? And Marina Rodriguez is not the fighter you can really let a round start to slip, because she has so much, in that Michelle Waterson fight, the second she had any momentum, it was over. She was pushing her, elbowing her, beating the shit out of her on the ground. And Rest in peace, Canada. I'm going to pick against both Canadians on this card. Rip. I don't want them to win, but it is so hard to justify picking them and most of the time. Actually, and Julian Robertson is the favorite, but I ain't got no bias unless I'm picking Hyder Emil. And honestly, I do really like Julian Robertson. But Marina Rodriguez she's on a slip, and this might be the marking of her downfall, but I just don't see that yet. Especially in WMMA, downfalls aren't as extreme, I'm pretty sure. Maybe that's a weird thing to bank off of, but I think Marina Rodriguez still has fight to give. I think it's still going to be a competitive fight, but she's going to crack Robertson. Not drop her or hurt her or anything, but like cut her with an elbow. Have some visible damage. And Robertson's going to get on top, but she's done not too good with doing damage on the ground. It's been more control, hold you down, and just bank out the round. Marina Rodriguez at least does damage, and that will steal her this fight, in my opinion. Marina Rodriguez, it's going to be 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. That's what I'm calling it. Moving on. Ryan Loder versus Azamat Bekoev. These Russian names, but... So, going into this, I completely forgot who Azamat was, right? I was like, oh, Ryan Loder. If he could do that against Robert Valentin and Torres Finney can't, oh, it's wrestling's. It's unheard of in the UFC, man. But then, I remembered who Azamat Bekoev was, right? Dude, this is that man who... Okay, actually, let me preface this with who Zachary Reese is. So, Zachary Reese got 6-0, coming off a Contender Series win, finish win, comes in the UFC, Cody Brendage slams him on his head. Cody Brendage was just about to get choked out. I was so pissed off with that. Complete fluke, right? Okay, but he still got the win, so not a complete fluke. I'm being dramatic, but you get it. Zachary Reese was looking good until that fight, till that slam. Rebounds with a really nice 20-second knockout, I think, against Julian Marquez. Might have been some other middleweight bum, though. Who knows? But rebounds with that. And then after that, whoever Ateba Gautier just beat, he, beat over 3 rounds. I can't remember his name, but he's from Bolivia. But he beat him over 3 rounds pretty bad. And I was like, damn, Zachary Reese got some momentum. He's going to beat this other no-name weirdo who's debuting, right? Dude, Azamat just pushes him over, gets on top of him, and just flatline KOs him with some crazy ground and pound. It was... Not that it was so unexpected in hindsight looking back at this guy's career, but it was just very impressive on your debut on a pay-per-view to show up like that. And then you check, he's 19-3. 2 of his losses are split decision losses on the regional scene, right? So you could even give a little more extra room to damn, this guy's him, right? He's always making it a tough fight. And then Ryan Loder, his only loss is a split decision too, right? But you just look at he has more than double the fights, right? There's such an incredible experience difference right now. And here's another one. I have him marked down as 7-1 on Tapology, but here it is 8-1. Pretty sure it's because the Ultimate Fighter again. You see him with those ugly ass green shorts. But anyways, Azamat Bekoev is probably gonna do the same thing. This American macho wrestling. Gonna get him down. Gonna do a little dance with a surfboard. No, Azamat's gonna push him over, and I don't think it's gonna be as brutal of a finish, but it's still gonna be TKO round 2. Ryan Loder's gonna be all dejected in his corner. This guy's just gonna sit on him again. And I'm not saying this is the second coming of Khabib or anything, but he is still above the level of Ryan Loder. Ultimate Fighter has not been producing the same amount of talent as recently. But let's move on. Holy shit. Yana Santos looks so withered in that picture. She actually looks like my grandma. So like my grandma. It's a little scary. But I have one... I'm not going to talk about this fight for long. I have one big message to say about it. It's Miesha Tate, dude. And hear this, right? Only 2 recent wins after her return, right? Because she got the shit beat out of her by Amanda Nunes, disappeared, and tried to make a comeback after her botched boob... Not botched, but she got a boob job. Why are we fighting after getting a boob job? What the fuck, right? So, her wins are against Marion Renault, who was 44 years old at the time, and Julia Alvia, who may be 33. Oh, but she got that grandma fighting spirit out there. She fought like a 66-year-old, right? Just getting pushed over, trampled, and finished. And here's the thing. I'm not saying Yana Santos is some world beater. And she's hit or miss. She looks good. Sometimes looks good, doesn't. I just think to beat Miesha Tate, you have to have 0.00001 ounce of fight left in you. And does Yana Santos? She probably has 2 at least, right? And I think Miesha Tate has like -20. Miesha Tate, and maybe I think for her big retirement fight, she might show up. I don't know if this is it. I don't know if there's another one. But maybe for a big retirement fight, she might show up. Oh, start crying. Should have real hard fought Randy Couture last fight, right? No, Randy Couture got finished too. Yeah, fuck that. Yana Santos, 30-27. Because it's still a women's fight. And it is Miesha Tate versus Yana Santos. So I don't expect anything crazy. But Yana Santos rocking this out for my grandma. Shout out. She's not old. She's 35, but she just looks so much like her. Anyways, moving on. Jeremy C. Now, this shocked me. I'm not a casual. Don't come at me. But I was not familiar with the game of Mason Jones. So we'll start with Mason Jones. In hindsight, what the fuck was the reason of cutting him? He is 1-2 in the UFC. Listen to these 3 opponent names. Lost to Mike Davis. Now, if you don't know who that is, he was in the competition for Tiger Muay Thai, for who gets like the free training, gets to live there, and he won out of all the athletes applying and training there. He won. He got the free stay. He got the free training, and he has looked amazing. And his only recent loss is Fares Ziam, who is looking like an absolute world beater in his most recent fights, right? Kneeing Matt Verboen into another oblivion. So okay, we can write that off as an early UFC loss. That's fine, right? Not too bad of a loss. Next fight. Beat David Onama, who is now ranked at featherweight since his last fight. Last week, right? And then, who did he lose to get cut? Ludovic Klein, who is now fighting number 5 in the world, or number 7 in the world, I think now, Mateus Gamera. So, if Ludovic Klein wins that fight, Mason Jones would have just lost to number 7 in the world. And I know, I put on my big old Captain Hindsight goggles, and it wasn't worth cutting him. But still, 1-2 is not a fair thing. And also, I don't know why it says he's 11-2. They're definitely bringing up his old UFC record. I'm pretty sure he's 15-2 now. And he's 12-0 in Cage Warriors. May I add that? And I know there are some damn tomato cans in Cage Warriors. They're not all Harry Hardwick level, but he is still 12-0. That is super impressive to not be defeated once in that promotion, right? And then let's look at Jeremy Stephens. Was done very dirty in his last fight in the UFC. Mateus Gamera freaking picked him up, converted him instantly, right? But then, right. But then, he is getting subbed by randos in the PFL. And then, since 2023, boxes Aldo, and then only BKFC after BKFC after BKFC. And I know, he is meant for BKFC. He's looked outstanding. This makes me hungry for KFC the more I say this shit, but he's also just fighting BKFC. That's my problem. Sure, he looks amazing with his big old crazy hooks against Eddie Alvarez, but Mason Jones will just take you down and get on your back and submit you with a rear naked choke. That's my problem with this. And I want him to do that. Shout out the Welsh, dude. But Mason Jones was undeservedly cut, unless there's some weird shit behind the scenes too. Who knows? But I think he's gonna come back in. He's gonna have another one of these runs like Yusuf Zalal did the same shit, right? Lost to Topuria. And I'm not saying Ludovic Klein is the next Ilya Topuria, but he's gonna get the same treatment. He's gonna come back, win, and get on a nice streak. Mason Jones by submission. Jeremy Stephens just has such a hole in the game when it comes to submissions. Now, moving on. There's a couple of these later fights that suck to predict. I have a lot to say about this, though. Let me set the scene. Now. Imagine, we're in a submarine, right? We're in the Marianas Trench. But in this alternate reality, the Marianas Trench is filled with bottom-of-the-barrel bantamweights. Right? Down at these depths, we see the Brad Katonas, the Garrett Armfields, the Jake Hadleys. Watch out. They're all one significant strike from beating each other in a split decision. Did you not feel like you're on a safari, dude? I swear to God. It's the same with these two, too. Surrey City was friggin' one significant strike away from beating friggin' Ramon Tavares, and whoever the bum was that he fought in his last fight, it was one significant strike off, too, I bet. Same with this other guy. He beat Jake Hadley, and it was a close fight. He clearly won it. And actually, I was very impressed with his patience compared to what he showed in his other fights. But we're in that territory. This is a pretty close fight. See, now, Smotherman has very strong power, but he is not consistent with it. He's not getting it finished every fight. He'll land it when he picks the perfect shot, but other than that, he's pretty good at staying composed, consistent. Serhiy got absolutely done dirty by Roan Tavares, UFC 297. And by the way, I switched from using tissues to friggin' sandpaper after that card. That card sucked ass, dude. But I have this fight pretty 50-50. I think Serhiy has the better output, the better technique, but I think the power is a bit of the equalizer in this matchup, being so close to each other. Just, that shot was a little bigger. Also, Serhiy had a shit ton of scar tissue from his fight in UFC 297. A lot of cuts that can be reopened, and that is a very big game changer in a fight that I think is 50-50 and could go to a close decision. But the other thing swaying me too. I look at Cameron's Smotherman, the regional scene wins. It's like, okay, some bumps here and there. Dude, I know the Canadian regional scene is ass. I was scrolling through and it's like, let me just click on this random guy. I swear to God, it's his MySpace PFP. It's the worst quality bullshit picture I've ever seen. Random story time. I was out in Ontario driving around with my aunt, right? And she was like, because no one else cares about UFC but me and my entire lineage, other than me and my dad. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to watch this UFC card or whatever. Just saying it, they don't know what I'm talking about. And she's like, I think my I know a guy who did UFC. Search up his name, and I searched it up. And first of all, never did UFC, just did MMA. I mean, and casual, right? Switch UFC with MMA. I'm not. Who cares? But I check it, and he was like 2-7. It was awful. And I'm like, this is what we have to offer. Ugh. My eyes were so, and I went dead silent for the rest of that car ride. I couldn't break her heart saying this dude's shit, right? I love her, but that guy was seriously ass, and I bet a lot of Serhiy victims are. And I don't think Roan Tavares is that good either. I don't think he's fought someone that good. And I thought, even though I don't think Cameron Smotherman has proved he's crazy, Jake Hadley's not a bad win, and to look that composed in a debut, even though it's the apex, to look that composed is pretty impressive. Cameron Smotherman by 29-28, close, but still clearly his win. Moving on. Now, this fight is fucking good, dude. If you are a real fan of the UFC, this fight gives me so much goosebumps. Holy shit. Montel Jackson, please fight more than once a year. But, dude, I don't know why he has fought twice, I think, since 2022, 2023. I don't know why they let him execute Ronnie Yaya. I didn't need to see that fight. They could have just gave him the official win, and I don't even think Ronnie Yaya would have been that mad. But that last win he's coming off of, it is the game changer in my pick in this fight, Damon Blackshear. And I know, it would have been nice to have that fight go into the third round, have a bit of a war, have him tested. But to do Damon Blackshear that dirty, KO him in 20 seconds. And Damon Blackshear has done nothing but win since then. Nothing but look good. And that fight, Damon Blackshear versus Montel Jackson, that fight was the battle for the divisional dark horse, right? Whoever won that was supposed to be the next doubted prospect who's going to climb their way like Jared Cannonier. That sounded like it was a racial comparison. I swear it wasn't. But Jared Cannonier is just in my head when I hear dark horse, because it was just the whole, I want to fight the dark horse division. Jared Cannonier. Me explaining it is making it sound worse, but whatever. But after that, he hasn't fought since, right? Friggin', I also remember the talks of hands the size of Francis Ngannou, right? But it's a double-edged sword that he's coming off that 22nd one. Not more for the fans, by the way, than him. It's incredible, because think of this. He is coming off of 2 knockout finishes, relatively quick ones, and with that, so for the last 2 years, we have seen barely any new footage of him. He has probably improved so much. He is now ranked. The confidence that must be boosting behind his back is insane, right? And we've barely got to see any peek into his new skill set that he's developed. And on the other hand, what if he just hasn't improved much other than, got a crazy KO, right? That's only for me picking him. That might suck because like, damn, he hasn't improved. This guy just has better. This guy had better cardio and just beat him. Oh, well, should I pick Daniel Marcos? But it's like we don't have much footage, so it's whatever. But then let's look at Daniel Marcos now, right? Because although he's had some close contested fights in the UFC, the Adrian Yanez one, the David Grant one. Let us be fair. To fight David Grant in your second ever UFC fight is incredible. Even if you're already like 14-0, 15-0 at the time. David Grant in your second fight is insane, right? And then Adrian Yanez is your fourth. Sure, fourth fight, that kind of makes sense. But still, Adrian Yanez is a tough fight. I think Marcos just did enough. Adrian Yanez was kind of trolling at the end of that fight too, but still had a good showing of himself. And to get thrown to the Sharks that quickly, and even if you think Davy Grant won that fight, Marcos was still clearly at that skill level. Was still hanging around with the damn Sharks of that division. But I think Montel Jackson has it's just that Damon Blackshear win. That is such a good win to have. And just walk out, time the perfect straight. And by the way, we just saw Montel Jackson, 15-minute masterclass on using his range effectively. And I know maybe he could have improved on that since then, but he didn't just find out he had long arms and could box. Like, that was still a decent Montel Jackson, even though he's improved now. And, maybe beats Montel Jackson now. Dude, Montel Jackson doing that is incredible. Damon Blackshear win is going to make me pick Montel Jackson. And womp womp if I'm wrong. The thing is, Marcos, I am under the impression he has a really good chin. But I was a bit shocked with some of the shots. It looking like he's rocking him a bit. I could see Montel Jackson KO. I'm not going to bet on it. I think it's a pretty low chance happening. I'm more seeing a Montel Jackson, like, maybe even every time I say 29-27, never happens, not even a knockdown in that fight. But come on, bro. This is the 29-27. Montel Jackson's going to drop him round 1. The power's going to fade, but he's still going to win round 2. And then round 3, oh, Marcos comes alive. Showing that rare, big old Peruvian spirit. Oh, woo! Right. No, Montel Jackson's going to win. It's going to look good. And he's going to make most of the bantamweight contenders shit their pants. He's a monster. Moving on, though. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Daniel Rodriguez. I kind of have the same feeling as Miesha Tate. Also, don't call me a conspiracy theorist, but I have a feeling someone plugged Santiago Ponzinibbio into a controller and lowered his health stat and is just doing a YouTube UFC 5 like career mode challenge with him. Because does it not feel like he's just on Bambi legs, stumbling all over the place, 0 head health, getting knocked out by any random punch that touches him? Like, and it was not always this way. I feel so bad. He looked, and I know he beat Neil Magny for all his infections, but he looked so good before the friggin' bone and blood infection he got that left him out for 2 years. I was so behind the Santiago... Okay, I'm going to stop saying his name. I was so behind the Ponzinibbio hype train when he beat Neil Magny. Neil Magny, I know now it looks a little bit chopped, but Neil Magny, back in 2019, dude, he was the GOAT. I know I can gaslight one new fan. Come on, bro. But, dude, Ponzinibbio is not the same Ponzinibbio. And even though I don't think Rodriguez has the best skills, and fuck, he looked so dumb in that Neil Magny fight, I do have to say, I think just having a bit of head health, bit of cardio, actually pretty damn good boxing. I know he got head kicked by Ian Gary, but that's aged pretty well now. Ian Gary's striking looked outstanding against Carlos Prates. Those first 3 rounds especially, right? I just think he has that youth advantage. And I know Daniel Rodriguez isn't young, but he just has so many less miles clocked from fights, right? And I know he probably gotten some big old prison brawls, but so much less time injured in training camps and stupid things here, stupid things there. Daniel Rodriguez, round 2 KO. It's going to just be sad. But Ponzinibbio has a career in commentating. So nothing to feel sad about, right? Just having fun, having some wars at the end of his career. Shout out. Always entertaining, but it's going to be a Daniel Rodriguez finish. Moving on to the co-main. This fight's for a ranking spot, dude. This fight's crazy. I'm so happy this fight got made. I thought they were going to slow roll Bo Nickal way too hard. But they're picking this pace up. See now, Reinier to Ritter. Sure, he ran over Kevin Holland. But Kevin Holland has never been able to grapple at 185. And he gave GM3 a taste of his own medicine with that round 3 beatdown. But how many times is Reinier de Ridder just going to be a goofball and work again and again and again? I'm sick of it! And especially with how close that GM3 fight is, right? It's so hard to not pick Bo Nickal. So here are a few things, and I know he's the favorite, but there's a few things that are just so hard to go against, right? So that Gordon Ryan match, I know it's no gi jiu-jitsu. That's not the same shit. But this was a Bo Nickal with zero jiu-jitsu training. Now, do I buy him saying that? No, not really. He's not a dumbass. He's seen a triangle choke before. But still, that was him with zero jiu-jitsu training. Even though he's maybe seen it, dude, I could probably defend better. I've watched some UFCs. But no, actually, he lasted a while. He took down Gordon Ryan, jumped himself into a triangle, fucked himself over, but stayed in that fight for a stayed in that wrestling match for a good long time before getting submitted. And then, the other thing I really love when picking him, dude, you see how boring he fought in that Paul Craig fight? And now, you might think, boring, that kills the stock. Dude, that's what you want if you're making picks on YouTube. You want the motherfucker that's going to stink up the place the most. And that's Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal has the perfect amount of takedown defense to throw Reinier de Ridder around and not let him get a single takedown, trip him, and it's going to be a big thing too. If Bo Nickal can just fling Reinier de Ridder over, stand back up, that is visually so good, right? It's like, hey, I just flung this guy over, zero effort, and the striking is even. Who are you going to give that to, right? But I don't even think the striking is going to be even. Bo Nickal fights so safe. He has that southpaw, throw a body kick, throw an overhead, throw a jab, throw a body kick. It's the repeat of the same three cards, dude. It's not low. You know what? Bo Nickal kind of fights like he has like a Hog Rider cycle deck in Clash Royale. Shut up for my gamers out there. But Bo Nickal is just gonna out tit for tat him like any boring striker would. Rest in peace. I mean, this doesn't end Reinier de Ridder's career or anything. He's still going to have really fun fights at middleweight, but Bo Nickal, 29-28 masterclass. I mean, he's not going to be winning any new fans over with this one, I think, but he's still going to just be looking good, climbing his way up there, and has a name by him, right? It's impressive what he's able to do with barely any experience in MMA. Let's move on to this main event. I'm so sad because I love Figueiredo. But, dude. And here's the thing. Being the absolute mass monster I am, by the way, all my mass is in my calves. I'm just saying. But it's so hard for me to not want to pick Figgy. But the thing is, how am I going to pick against this friggin' nerd measuring his hands with a ruler to calculate how fast he can scroll Instagram reels? Like, this guy. And sure, I'm making fun of him for being a nerd, but he was very self-aware after that Umar fight, knowing he wasn't as active enough. He got caught up too much in that takedown defense game and trying to be too perfect, not getting countered. He knows what he did wrong. And especially against Figgy. Also, may I say, his takedown defense in that Umar fight is very important because Figgy loves to mix it up. And to have that strong a takedown defense against a guy like Umar, who's going back and forth with Merab, even though he definitely lost, he was still going back and forth with Merab. I love saying that he got dominated too. Merab dominated his ass, dude. Suck it. But, and, okay, the only thing that worries me about Cory Sandhagen is that Yadong fight. He is susceptible once in a while to those big shots that crack him. But Figueiredo's power is more of a, especially at bantamweight, it's more of a knock you down and scare you and win around. Like Petr Yan, like Rob Font, right? Like every single time, even the Moreno fight, because Moreno has a good chin, but still, you get what I'm saying. Cory Sandhagen is susceptible to just getting dropped, but I don't think that drop is going to win Figueiredo the fight. That drop is going to win him like a 49-40, or lose him a 49-46 just banking one random round, right? And this one's probably going to get discredited a bit because, Figueiredo's 37. Now, let's be real, dude. A Brazilian 37. Dude, every friggin' Brazilian is 40 years old. They all lie about their age, dude. And I swear to God, they're all 40, and they're all still more explosive than a 29-year-old collegiate wrestler, right? It's like, what the hell? But jokes aside, Cory is just gonna be doing more, and that's gonna be the difference. He's probably gonna have a 10 to 15 significant strike lead every round, and it's gonna be pushing it's gonna be like the Ian Gary fight where he pushes the initiative the first 3, and I don't think he's gonna lose 4 and 5 like that embarrassingly. Embarrassingly, I'm only saying embarrassingly because of how the 5th round went. I'm not saying Ian Gary looks shit or anything, but what I am saying in terms of this is that Cory Sandhagen might start to coast in rounds 4 and 5, just kind of how it felt in that Cheeto fight too, where he'll get a clear safe rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then just maintain that 10 strike. And also, may I say, Figgy, especially in the second half of this career, has had more of a low output style banking on his power, and doesn't want to like put him in a position. Doesn't want to put himself in a position where he has no cardio because he did a crazy output in rounds 1, 2, and 3, right? Especially at 37. Keep bringing up. I said don't discredit him for being 37, but I keep bringing it up. But you know what I mean in the whole terms of cardio and all that. But Cory Sandhagen is gonna outpace him. I don't want to say pitter pat, tit for tat, little teeps to the body. I think he's gonna do more than that. He's gonna land a straight. He's gonna land an elbow. He might even land a double leg, but he's going to outdo him in a pretty, somewhat entertaining way. It's going to be a fun fight. Bantamweights are always fun, especially at the pinnacle of the sport. Shout out Cory Sandhagen, 49-46.
Thank you for watching.
This has been my in-depth breakdown. Peace out.